TOA, Fit Body Forever, and Fit Body Bootcamp communities. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Robert Linkul here to talk to you today about an article that one of my very good friends, Kate, sent over to us. Kate always seems to find articles that she knows I will be interested in and have something to say about it. And so we're going to dive into this. This is written by a gal named Katya Riddle. And this was just about a week ago, August 25th there. Are weighted vests good for bone and muscle? Fact checking at Fitness Trends. As we kind of go through this, it's not the longest article, but it does make some good points and have some references, and we'll get into it here a bit. But her main argument is the benefit of walking wearing a weighted vest is insane, says one promoter that she witnessed on TikTok. And so your posture, your bones increase, you get a more caloric burn, you improve your strength and your endurance. And she goes, and I could go on and on and on. And so apparently there is a huge trend in fitness right now. And we are seeing it a lot, especially with ladies walking around the neighborhoods, going on their walks every day, wearing a weighted vest. Unfortunately, first off, the weighted vest that they are wearing is this crisscross, I'm just going to say it, like these garbage little vests, these little garbage crisscross vests that flop around. They don't have a whole lot of load to them, and they're not well designed and or put together to be able to be super effective other than in the standing still posture. As soon as you start to walk, they flip and they flop and they shift all over. If you were to wear that vest in a weight room while doing push-ups and pull-ups and split squats and sit-to-stands and get-ups and anything else, that thing would be all over you, choking you, falling off. It's just, they're terrible designs. They're cheap. And people aren't sure, like, is this something I'm going to get into? So they start there, which I totally understand. But if you decide after doing the research, hearing this video and whatever else, you're like, I want to get into vest training, I'm going to encourage you to invest in a ruck rather than a vest. But if you decide to get a vest, go to Hyperwear. And I have no financial connection to them, but go to Hyperwear and invest in one of their vests. Their vests are super, super clean. They fit very well. They have adjustable load. They are snug from front and back. They look really clean and professional. They're easy to maintain. And they are tight enough and snug enough on your body where you can do get-ups off the floor and they don't move. I've got two of them. I love them. And they're the only vests that I recommend to people. Now, I'm not even going to mention the other ones by name because they're just, like I said, they're kind of like little garbagey throwaway vests that most of the time you see in like military or SWAT academy type training because they literally do throw them away. They break and they're just not great, high quality, okay? So comfort of wearing the vest is going to be a big piece of this. And I would, again, ultimately encourage everyone to buy a ruck, a backpack, because you can produce and carry so much more load, produce more work, etc. And that's really where you're going to see a lot of benefit. All right, other social media influencers are stressing how women, primarily those who are in perimenopause and menopause, where bone density declines and so does muscle mass, are going to benefit a lot from wearing a vest and walking around their neighborhood. And as we continue to kind of dive into this, or she dives into the research, she goes, here's what the claims are from the TikTokers. Weighted vests offer a host of fitness benefits, including improved posture. Yes, it will do that, wearing weight on your body. While out walking and or doing a workout, you are going to get some increases in a improved posture. When you wear a vest, you are bringing to attention the idea of better posture, of better alignment, of better movement mechanics because of what implement is placed on you. It's top of mind awareness, TOMA. Okay, I'm wearing this thing. I need to be tall and postured with it. So that definitely does help. A lot of people go, well, because I wear this weight on me, it's going to pull me and round me forward. Unless you have 80 pounds on you, probably not. With 8 pounds or 10 pounds or 12 pounds, no, you'll be good. Are we going to get weight loss? Yes. And improved cardiovascular health? Yes, you're going to get both of those because you are moving more load and your body is going to have to work harder to move that load when you're out doing a cardiovascular effort. So that means if you go for a 1 mile walk at your regular pace and then you match that regular pace, but you're wearing a 10-pound vest, you have moved 10 pounds more every single step that you have taken. You have produced more work. Overall cardiac output is going to be higher because you had to move more load with the current muscle mass that you had from the day before. So since you have not muscularly improved, you've simply placed more load on you. Your body has not had an opportunity to adjust over gradual muscular inclines where your cardiovascular system would adjust with it. All of a sudden it goes, we've got more load to move. We've got to work a little bit harder. Okay, so there are benefits there, and that ultimately is going to help in a caloric expenditure that you are now going to be into a deficit, ideally, if you're eating well, and then your weight loss, fat loss has occurred. Increase in muscle? No. Increase in bone growth? No, I would say not. It's not enough load to produce any kind of bone growth. Because you are out walking, which is low impact, it's again not no impact, it's not swimming, but it's also not running where you have a higher impact. If you're walking low impact with load like that, you'll get some stress back on the bone, but probably enough to, if you're over 55 and you're perimenopausal or menopausal and then postmenopausal, that's probably going to help just slow down your bone loss, but it's not going to stop it, and it's definitely not going to grow. That's where rucking, weighted vest walking, etc., is a great addition to a resistance training program that is going to help you do this. And that's where I will have clients or I will have people contact me and they go, well, I'm looking at a point here right now where I need to decide, do I start taking a medication to help with my bone density? And again, everyone is different. Talk to your doctors. Some people have different health concerns and different other limitations. So we're just speaking generally right now, but a generally healthy individual that is now either entering around the age of menopause or is postmenopausal, and you're like, I need to address my bone density issues. If you eat well consistently every day with the appropriate amount of protein, if not a little bit more protein than what you need, which is more than 1 gram per pound of your body weight, if not much greater than that, in my opinion. If you're doing that, if you are resistance training 3 days a week with upwards of 80% of your 1 rep maximum in hand, moving heavy loads, struggling to move that weight for 5 sets of 5, 6 sets of 4, whatever it is, like struggling heavy loads. If you're doing that and carrying at least 10 to 15% of your body weight in a backpack when you go out and go for rucks, and that doesn't grow bone mass, then I would say you should probably take that medication. But those that come in and they're like, well, I work out and I'm active all the time and I eat well and I still haven't had any changes, and so I think I'm going to take the medication. Well, that's fine, but have you really? Are you getting appropriate protein? Are you getting enough protein throughout the entire day? Are you resistance training with heavy loads consistently? And that doesn't mean like, well, yeah, I push myself here and there. No. Like 3 days a week, every day for months, if not a year on end. You don't miss. You are super consistent and you struggle with every workout and you push yourself. And if you do that and you're rucking on other days, so not swimming, not Tai Chi, not yoga, you need impact training with load on a regular basis. And again, I'm not dumping on anything else, any other activities. You came to me specifically about bone density. Here's the regimen. If you do that and you don't get a stop of bone loss, if not growth of bone loss, of bone density, then you could say, all right, maybe I need this medication to assist. And after a year of trying, I would say, all right, I think I agree with you. Then you're in need of a medication then. But I don't think most people do that. I don't think most people put in that consistent of an effort. And unfortunately, that's where we are as a society, is that's what is required of us to keep our bones dense enough to keep our body upright and not have our bones become brittle and super sensitive and fragile to impact upon a fall. So if you start this in your 30s, 40s, when you get to 50, 60, 70, you're golden because you've just been doing it for the last 40 years. Your bones are dense as shit. But if you're 73 and you're like, I'm going to start lifting, well, we got a lot of work to do. And you got to start eating really well, and you got to get super consistent. And it's like, it's go time. Clock's ticking. So this roundabout answer is with an 8-pound floppy vest on you and you go out for a walk twice a week. No, that's not going to increase bone growth. It's not going to do it. But loaded carrying absolutely will help with bone density if we're doing all those other things that we just talked about. It's a good addition too, but again, we're going to need more load than that. And when we carry significant amounts of load, 10% of your body weight or more, I don't think it should be in a vest. I think it should be on your body in a backpack hooked to your hips. And that's why rucks are so good for this, because I can carry heavy loads in my ruck, and I'm definitely getting a bone density response then. I'll show you some research studies here and whatnot that go into that from the Cleveland Clinic and from GoRuck.com and multiple other sources in just a second. Okay. All right. So the evidence as we go through here, she talks to Lauren Colenso Semple, who studies this at McMaster University in Canada and says, hey, all activity is good. I don't want to poo-poo anybody, let them think that this isn't important, but you're actually not getting the bone density or the muscle mass challenge that you think you are. So if her comment is, if that's all you're going to do is you're just going to simply put on this vest and walk around, no, you're not getting what you need to keep your bones dense and build muscle mass. But at the same time, it's a great thing to do in addition to resistance training and everything else that we kind of addressed. You don't put enough stress on the muscle to make it grow significantly. The range of motion is way too short with walking, even with running. You're not stretching the muscle enough through a range of motion to then tear it in a good way. These are little small microfiber tears that eventually produce increases in strength and or muscle growth. So keep that in mind as we continue through this. You need to, as she talks about here, pick weight-bearing exercises and do them often and consistently. We're all kind of preaching the same thing here. As we go through the nuance, as she put in here, weighted vest may have some benefits, says Roger Fielding, who does exercise science at Tufts University. It will increase your energy expenditure, your oxygen consumption. All those vascular responses will go up, and they will go up proportionally on how much you add weight and how much work basically you're putting in, etc. That all makes sense. The bottom line is the research does not support the weighted vest claims that you're going to improve or increase muscle or bone strength. And in that case, I do agree with it because, again, we're not carrying enough load. They reference a couple of articles, and so we're going to look at a few of those in comparison with the effects of walking exercise with and without weighted vests on bone resorptions and health related physical fitness. I'm trying to move my window here so I can see all this fitness in working women. This one in particular looked at all their participants for 12 weeks. 12 weeks of training, there was no significant change in bone density markers. I think you could put 80 pounds on these people and train them for 3 months for 12 weeks, and you probably wouldn't see it either. From bone scan to bone scan, you're looking at least 12, if not 18 to 24 months to see a significant change in bone density. It's not like muscle mass. You can change someone's muscle mass and their body composition in 30 days if you really get aggressive, but their bones aren't going to show that great of a change, not in 3 months. So I think you definitely need to look at some studies that go longer than that. With this one, long-term exercise using weighted vests prevents hip bone loss in postmenopausal women. Well, yeah, we did a 5-year study here, a 5-year period, where they looked at these ladies postmenopause, and they found that, furthermore, this particular program appears to promote long-term adherence and compliance as evidence of commitment to their exercise for more than 5 years. So you need consistency. They were doing jump training. They were doing their weighted vest walks, weighted vest jump training as well, and they were resistance training all the same time. Had a control group, I believe, in this one that was not doing the resistance training, and they still had some body weight movements and jump training components where they saw improvements as well, but the ones that were lifting along with it, of course, had the best results. Okay. Then they said, okay, here was another one. After a break in time from strength training, your, quote, muscle memory may help you bounce back. And what this was in reference to was the the lifting that you once did, you now have stopped, and your body is ready to come back and get into this, and that your muscles remember what this is like. And so they will just fall right back in line, and you've already established a really good pattern here, and like your body will know exactly what to do, and it'll be fine, and it'll just pick up where it left off, kind of a thing. That's absolutely not the case. There's no such thing as muscle memory. Your muscles don't know anything. It's a neurological response. It's a pattern in your head. Your body is learning to, we're all going to learn the Texas two-step right now. You're going to step with anybody know it? Does anyone listening to this, do you know the Texas two-step? Okay, here it is, because I don't think any of you know it. All right, if you do, you're a dance major. You're going to go left one count, right one count, back step. Left one count, right one count, back step. When you do that, that's the dance I did at my wedding. You have now learned how to do that. And we've just now put that pattern into your brain. And neurologically, you now know how to do that. That is neurological patterning sent to the muscles. Your muscles don't know anything. Your muscles do what your brain tells you. So if you take all this time off and then you come back and you're like, cool, let's get back into resistance training. Well, my muscle memory will help me pick up. No, it's your brain's recognition of the pattern. And it goes, oh, I remember how to do this. That's why we can just get right back on and ride a bike. But your muscles are going to go, we haven't done anything in 6 months, and they're going to be sore, and the range of motion is going to hurt, and all this. They're almost starting over. Almost. You have established a layer of resistance training and cross-section fibering in your musculature that your body then recognized, and your musculature grew, or your strength grew, and that is not lost. Those fibers just shrink down a little bit, but as soon as you start to train them, they swell back up again. And so that's where you're like a step or two ahead of where you were if you were completely deconditioned and had never trained a day in your life, versus someone who has trained, taken a break, has trained, taken a break, and now you've come back a few times. Yes, you'll be a couple of steps ahead, but you're going to be just as sore because your body hasn't been doing it consistently. And that's what I'm talking about here, is the consistency of muscle engagement, of bone density, stress, etc., is what's needed under a heavy load. And what is heavy? Whatever challenges you. Heavy for you is different heavy for me. You are super, super strong. I'm not as strong. So 30 pounds for you, you're like, 30 pounds for me, that's really a struggle. And so that 30 pounds is a challenge, quote unquote, for me. 70% of an effort or higher. Okay, a 7 out of 10 on an RPE, a rate of perceived exertion. Those types of things are going to challenge me enough to make my muscles grow. When the muscles grow, they pull on the bones get more dense. When I'm carrying load and we're out on a ruck and I have 20 pounds and I'm like, boy, this is really hard, I'm struggling, that's enough stress, that's a challenging load for me. You might need 40, right? Everybody's different is my point. However, we all need to select a load that is challenging for us. And that's where we're going to reap the benefit. And that's why we encourage you to ruck. And so here we are from the Cleveland Clinic, right? Not just the Go Ruck website, which I'm going to show you in a moment, but the Cleveland Clinic researched this last year, 2024. Should you add rucking to your workout? They go through all the steps of how to do it and why, that you need to progress slowly. You need to start with lighter loads and build up, just like resistance training. But ultimately, rucking is going to assist you in cardiovascular health and improving your posture and improving your muscular endurance. However, when you really start to stress the load and add more load and add more load, you will get to a point where you're taking every step 40 pounds, 40 pounds, 40 pounds, or whatever it is. That is enough of heavy load to place demand on the bones to go, we're just not going to, at minimum, we're not going to lose bone mass by carrying this amount of weight. Are we going to grow? Probably not. But the resistance training that we're doing as well, that's going to help us grow. So this is in addition to, it's always in addition to. And it gives you a very good model on how to implement this and how to progress. And if you want to get a weighted vest and start there, that's all good. And weighted vests are awesome if you're going to add them to workouts. So like a regular workout you do in the gym, you just put your vest on while you do it. Makes things that much harder because you've got an extra 10 pounds that you're now manipulating on every single exercise, every single thing that you do. And that would be a great way to start rucking with a vest, get good at it, continue to use the vest in the weight room, but graduate into a rucking backpack that is going to allow you to carry more load as you progress through that. Load carriage conditioning elicits a task-specific physical and psychological improvements in, again, this one's in males because we are talking to everyone, even though our original article was addressed at the ladies. But this gave a great review, great research on the men's response just in 10 weeks of how demanding it was on their body. But they got up to carrying 80, 90, 100 pounds in some of the cases, super, super heavy load. But that's what the military does. The military has basically 3 different kits, as they would call them. The first one's like 30 to 40 pounds. The next one's like 70 to 90 pounds. And the last one's like 140 to 160 pounds of gear. And so in some of those men's cases, that's literally their body weight. They're carrying 160 pounds and they are 160 pounds and or somewhere around in there. And so the benefits of training with that are great demands. The bones in their feet and their hips and their knees and their back and their femoral neck and their hip, like all of that is such great stress. But are we going to do that with our moms and dads in the neighborhood? No. The physical demand. So we know, like, to a certain level, military level, there's great responses. There's great demand. And yes, they have a fantastic response via bone density. So there's somewhere in the middle of all this, it's going to land a good challenging load for like regular people who want to use this in addition to a good resistance training program. But as always, as with all of this, it has to be a challenge. You can't check the box. You can't just go through and check the box every day and be like, I'm just not feeling it today. I'm going to just say I did my ruck and I wore my 10-pound vest and that was good enough. We're not here for good enough. If you truly want change, it has to challenge you. That's the saying. If it's not challenging you, it's not going to change you. And that could not be more accurate. Physiological impact of load carriage exercise, basically load carrying, current understanding and future research directions here. This is in the PMC NCBI, whatever this is, official research organization. You'll be able to see this on a regular basis. I'm just trying to showcase to you, it's not just like, of course, the Go Ruck website would have the benefits of rucking on here, but they cite more than 50 years of studies that have been done specifically with the military, and they've seen how valuable this is. Zone 2 is a perfect zone 2 to maintain your muscle mass and your bone density and burn body fat at the same time. Very accurate. Look at Peter Attia, Lane Norton, any of the other docs out there, Andy Galpin, they all preach zone 2, and that's exactly what we're looking at right around here, a 60 to 70% effort of your maximum heart rate, something that you can have and can basically consistently have a conversation with someone. Right now, the intensity that I'm speaking with, I'm probably teetering between zone 1 and zone 2, and that's about what you want. Where you get to that point where you're like, hey man, this is really good. Like, you're doing a good job. I think we're pushing to the top of the mountain. Like, you get that little gasp in between each one and that little bits of like, I've got to be a little specific with how I do this so I can keep breathing. That's zone 2, generally speaking, without having to go through and like check your heart rate, etc. But that gives you a great opportunity to build and or maintain your lean muscle mass, lose the excess adipose tissue body fat that you don't want, not destroy your joints in the process of running or high impact mountain biking or whatever else that it might be out there. If you can walk, you can ruck. And this gives you great opportunities to help improve any overall endurance-based musculature injuries that you might have on your body. And in many cases, our muscles are just weak and they're not endured enough to hold us in good position, so injuries accrue. I'd say about 60 to 70% of the time, that is accurate. It helps you manage your blood sugars, helps fight dementia, stronger bones, etc. Again, multiple different studies, especially these ones. There's like 3 really good studies that the U.S. Army has done on bone density. And again, it was like 6 months, 18 months, something like that. A 5-year one, I think they had. I mean, they had really good ones in there, okay? WebMD, a further article just September a year ago, okay? The ultimate guide to rucking and why this trend is here to stay, and the effects of fatigue on movement patterns during loaded rucking marching. This is showcasing to all of us here the value of ruck training, the value of the addition to resistance training, the challenge of the intensity and the consistency in which someone would be to utilize this as one of the 3 tools: proper nutrition, consistent resistance training, and rucking. Those 3 things, along with really good sleep, and your in like a subheading of the nutrition one is enough protein. If you're getting all of those things, I think you're going to have great success. and not only building bone density, building muscle mass, improving your cardiovascular health, helping your overall posture, improving all of your injuries, keeping your brain sharp, helping your overall health issues from sugar regulation and dementia and everything else that was listed. Like, you've got all these great things that are all going to come from 6 days a week. And this is what I do. I lift 3 days a week and I ruck 3 days a week. And on the last day, I cut my lawn and I work in the garden and I'm dragging things and moving things around. I'm probably just as active as I would be when combining my resistance training and ruck. I still get a good active day in, but it's not organized either of one of those two. And so rucks, I'm getting between 5 and 8 miles every time I do a ruck. Depends on the day. And then I'm carrying anywhere from 20 to 50 pounds, typically right around 35 to 40 pounds is where I feel at home. And I'm like, this is a good challenge. And then I seek hills or I go for speed on the treadmill or whatever I'm doing. And then outside of that, my resistance training, we're pushing every single day. And so if I establish that routine in my 40s and I just keep doing that, 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s, I shouldn't have bone density issues. I shouldn't get to a point where I'm this old, frail, weak man who takes these small little wobbly steps, who we're constantly worried is going to fall down. Like, once you've established this, I want to be an 80-year-old. People walk by and like, that guy's a bad motherfucker right there. Look at that guy. Look at that guy at 80. Like, I'm 6'3.25". I want to be 6'2.5" when I'm 80. Like, I know I'm going to have some loss, but I'm just, mindset-wise, I refuse to allow myself to become that old, frail person. And I'll say that, and older people will go, well, we'll see what you say when that time comes. I refuse to accept it. From my 30s, going through back surgeries and hip replacements and everything else that I went through, I had the opportunity to just mail it in and literally qualify for disability and be a disabled individual for the rest of my life. And I refuse to accept that. So why would this be any different? Am I going to be able to keep a 250-pound frame? Probably not. I'll probably get smaller as I get older. Will I be able to keep lifting the heavy load that I'm going to consider now as my heavy load? Am I going to still be able to do that? Because compared to Thor and strong men and 90% of the guys in weight rooms out there, they are much stronger than I am. However, for me, whatever my heavy load is right now, 140 pounds that I do split squats with, I find that to be very challenging and heavy. Am I going to be able to do that when I'm 70 or 80? Probably not. But will I still be able to do 50 pounds in each hand? Hell yeah. So instead of 140 pounds, I can do 100. That's still badass for an 80-year-old. And that's my plan. I always want to be at the badass level of the older populations. Is that an official thing? No, but that's just my stance on, I refuse to accept being weak. And if we can see outliers, individuals that you see now, and you're like, look at her, she's 90 and she's still deadlifting 200 pounds and she's running in the senior games, and look at the biceps on this guy. He still wrestles people in his 70s and 80s and he's coaching these high school kids. These are freak human beings. They're not. They're people that just said, I don't accept becoming old and weak. I'm just going to stay active, be active forever. I'm just going to keep doing this. So they're not freaks. They're not outliers. They're what we all should be if we would just do. And that's the message. That's the point of this. That's the whole thing. There isn't a quick fix of just put on this 8-pound vest and go walk around the neighborhood. It's not that simple. Nothing is that simple. It's part of the plan. And that plan must be consistently performed daily, or else it will not work. As much as you need sleep and food and air, you need to exercise and get enough protein and challenge yourself on a daily basis. And not everybody does that, but that's why we have different results as we age. I want you to be the badass level. And that's my whole purpose in all these videos. And everything that I do is to teach you how to do that, or your coach how to have you do that. One of the two. That is the whole intention here. Refuse to accept that you are going to become sarcopenic. Refuse to accept that you are going to become osteopenic. Refuse to accept that you are going to become old and frail and a high fall risk. Do not accept that shit. Get strong, stay strong, avoid injury at all costs, and you will live a high quality life. You will be able to vacation and exercise and perform in all realms of life if you continue to keep to that commitment. I promise you, you will not be disappointed with that. That is my goal for you. and I am all done. 30 minutes of me preaching and complaining our way through that. I hope it was worth it. Any comments, questions, you let me know. I really appreciate you being here. If you feel like this whole rant of a video would land with anyone within your family, your friends, your colleagues, anyone in your circle, please share it with them. Like, subscribe, help us grow our community and our channel. I would really appreciate it. Until next time, please continue to fight your good fight against sarcopenia, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.